Psychology today can be traced back to its philosophical roots. Psychology concerns itself with the mind and consciousness. There was a tremendous debate on whether there is a distinction between the physical world and the mental world. Some philosophers think that the world is purely materialistic and that only matter exists and nothing else. Others believe that the mind is the origin of all things. Some even believe that physical and mental phenomena are simply reflections of each other, like a mirror. That they are simply representations of the same thing. Leibniz proposed that the mind and body were actually the same thing, manifested into a substance he called the monad. He created the concept of pre-established harmony, which meant that physical events can only affect other physical events, while mental events can only affect other mental events. The reason for this is that the separation between the mental events and the physical events doesn't exist. It's man-made. The monad, according to Leibniz, could not be divided. They were infinite, like mathematical points, and did not occupy space. It is analogous to the concept of the soul. Every person's soul or mind was a monad. Animal minds were also monads, but they could not achieve rational thought. Each monad can be seen as the reflection of the universe. Each monad can perceive its own version of the universe. So it could potentially be interpreted that each monad was a universe by itself. Although Leibniz did include a notion that there was a God monad, in which everything can be perceived clearly. The most intriguing yet confusing concept Leibniz proposed was that what we perceive as the real world is actually the result of the activity of the infinite number of monads that exist. He never specified how, but he did make an analogy. He said that although we cannot hear the single wave breaking upon the shore, we can hear the roar of the ocean. So the activity of one monad was like a single wave. It doesn't have a large effect. But the combined effect, the combined perceptions of all the monads of the whole entire universe can create a physical world in which we can smell, touch, see, and it's solid.
This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
A way to look at it is that the mind cannot exist without the physical world, and the physical world cannot exist without the mind. The very act of existing in the physical world requires a mind to perceive that very existence. Simultaneously, if there's nothing to perceive, there's nothing to fill in the mind. The mind is simply nothing because it has no qualities nor quantities attached to it. According to Leibniz, all of reality is composed of three kinds of monads. And to help us differentiate the three types of monads, I will use an example. When I'm looking out the window and I see a squirrel, the squirrel will be considered a perceptive monad, and so will I, because we're both entities and monads that are perceiving an experience. However, I am a rational monad as well as a perceiving monad. The reason being is that I'm a monad that is able to both perceive and reflect, which is a capacity Leibniz called apperception. All humans are special in that way. All humans are rational monad. The final type of monad is the supermonad, which is also known as the God monad. The characteristics of the God monad include the ability to perceive everything and all possible phenomena clearly and from one singular point of view. When I saw the squirrel outside my window, the squirrel and I are synchronized in the same mental experience that is guided by the God monad. Leibniz's monad theory seems to be overly complicated without a good reason. Wouldn't it be easier to just believe in the physical world? Leibniz thinks that theories only concerning the physical world will never be able to explain mental experience. I mean, you can open up somebody's brain, but all you will see is gray matter. You can, tear somebody's eye out, but you can only see the eyeball. You can't see what they're seeing. You can never experience what others are experiencing. Leibniz's monad theory actually successfully explains and bypasses the mind and body problem by assuming that the universe is composed of infinite non-physical things called monads, and coordinated by a single God monad to explain its synchronicity. The world today is governed by Newtonian science and Newtonian physics, where all the sciences look at things from a physical point of view. Leibniz's theory still is relevant today because modern science has still not found the source of consciousness. We still don't know what exactly it is and how can it exist. It's exciting to try to imagine if the worldview is, instead of being dominated by modern science, and instead dominated by Leibniz's philosophy. It's something to think about.